Hey there, how are you doing? It's Louisa Munson from the pair, the Munsons, with Carl and Louisa. Carl is doing an errand today. He's gone off on a lovely little trip and may even go to the zoo. So we're going to be contemplating other things today. Whilst Carl is having a bit of a journey through life, we're going to be looking more at our internal life. And I've got Tasha Salinas, who obviously we've chatted with quite a few times before. And I'm hoping that Tasha and I, because when we get together, it's always kind of like more feminine, more imaginal. I think we have a really, really nice connection together. So I don't know where you are in the world right now, what time it is in the zone that you're in, but what I invite you to do is take a deep breath in and get ready for a soulful journey into self as Tasha and I really go there today. Let's bring her on right now. Hey Tasha, how are you? Isn't it amazing? We're both in the same color today. that wasn't planned at all. That's so funny. How are you doing? It's been a couple of weeks since I've seen you.
Yeah, it has been. I'm doing well. I had dental surgery about a week ago, and so I'm healing up, but it's been pretty interesting to have to slow down and be quiet for a while. So other than that, I'm doing great.
Oh my goodness. That's kind of wild a little bit, you know, because a couple of my really good friends have all had dental surgery, but I've also, you know, with this cold and flu that I've had and sinusitis, it felt like I'd actually had dental surgery. So, you know, when people were saying, you know, what are you feeling right now? I actually said it feels like I've had my teeth worked on. You know, my whole jaw, my whole face has been aching. How have you recovered? Because it's a excruciating pain, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I had to have 2 teeth pulled, and then like they had to clear out a bit of my jaw bone.
Oh,
I've been well, but I've been sitting with myself, and I'm like, as someone who, especially these days, is speaking a lot and communicating a lot from what I believe to be just the divine and the nature of reality, I've been asked to just be quiet and ensure that everything, like my entire vessel, is as pure as possible. So that means healing and recovering and letting myself receive messages and receive more just awareness in the stillness and silence. So I'm doing well. I don't love medicine, so I kind of just took this one, eased myself through it, and it's been about a week of self-care. That's what it's been.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's interesting that you say it feels like you've been sort of made silent, or you were forced to be silent, or you chose to be silent. Whatever has happened, silence was the result. I feel like the same's happened to me. I wasn't able to do my forecast and it was interesting that you were saying that you feel like you've been cleared out, or it definitely feels a similar thing for me. Do you think there's something bigger going on?
I absolutely do. I 1000% do. And if I'm able to lean into it, you know, I will. I honestly believe that more and more souls are coming fully into body, like embodied as far as our conscious awareness and experience of it. And you and I, being new thought leaders, kind of people that help others to know themselves and really like dive into who they are, I believe that we're all being called higher. And so part of that is allowing the vessel to be pure. And so as we are leaders and more of our souls are like embodied and out there and not really feeling disembodied, you know, I have a soul, or, you know, and I'm a body, or however people do it. The more unified we are, I think we purify. And so anything that's not whole or healed has to come out of us. And so as within, so without. So I believe as our thoughts and our consciousness is purified, our body has to purge out some of that nastiness. And so for me, the irony is, yeah, I've been silenced as far as like a lot of my social media, but then I've also been brought into the spiritual community in my local community to where I'm in front of people all the time. And I'm being faced with missing a couple of teeth. And not that I care necessarily about the aesthetics. I'm glad you chuckled, because I'm like, damn it, out of all the time.
It's really annoying, isn't it, when that happens?
Yes. But then I feel like my higher self is like, but are you still willing to share the message, even if it doesn't look as pretty as you wanted it to, even if you look like you've been hit with a bowling ball in your teeth? Like, are you still willing to go to the front lines? And I'm like, hell yeah, you know. And like my jaw was sore, so I couldn't even like fully open my mouth, but yet I was still asked internally and externally to communicate some things. And I'm like, oh, okay, I will. That's a servant, right? That's a servant life.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Before we go any further, I just want to say hello to people in the chat room and people, everyone watching, in fact, because not everyone that watches actually says hello in the chat room. But we've got Debs joining us. She's saying hi. Yay, Tasha. Good morning, my friends. I hope you're feeling well today. We've also got one of Deb's friends called BRV Fan 2012. Now, I might have to shorten your name because I can't say BRV Fan 2012, but I'm going to call you BRV just for now, unless you want to give me another name for yourself. But hi, welcome to the show. They're saying my first full episode. Excited. That's so nice. That's really, really lovely. So,
I see Braves fan on their name. Brave fan.
Oh, Brave fan. Yeah, that's cool.
Or Braves fan. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out. Absolutely. And Debs is saying, let's talk afterwards. So that's really, really cool. So I love what you were saying, that, you know, sometimes we are called into action to be, even if we're not comfortable with how we look, how we sound. I actually did some recordings using an AI voice, which was great fun. It started me thinking about all different other possibilities, you know, so it was my words, but with somebody else's voice. But it's very, very bizarre, really, really bizarre, kind of, you know, being called into action in a multitude of ways, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Almost being asked to shine a little differently, you know, being placed in constraint. Innovation is born out of constraint, you know, so you only go so far and then you got to get redirected in the new way. I've wrestled with that. That's beautiful. Thank you for saying that.
What did you come up with? You know, like when you were, because I mean, I've gone online when I felt really puffy and hormonal, and like over Christmas I was starting to lose my hair, and I was thinking, oh my god, that's really noticeable on the camera. Do I still do it? And I did. I had a good old cry about it first. What did you learn in this process?
That as a leader, I get to go through a lot of these changes first, and they happen on the inside. And so one thing that came to mind for me is that, hold on, I just had the thought and it's gone. I don't think I was supposed to say that part where I was headed. But what I will say is that going inward, maybe that's where the answer is. That's just what I did. Go inward. Oh, that's it. And understand, like, that when we feel like crap, sometimes the narrative in our mind is really poor. And so just silencing that and doing it anyway. So for me, it was like just understanding and knowing that there are many people who can't communicate when they're in such a hard space, mentally, physically, emotionally, all of the things. And it's just like, goodness gracious, empathy for myself, compassion for myself, and allowing the silence to hold me as we're being carried through evolution. Like, I have such a big mouth and I always want to talk because I'm getting all this information that I can't force my growth to happen any faster than it is. Otherwise, I'm efforting my evolution, which is not necessarily the way that I want to go. I
said there.
Yeah. What was
efforting my evolution. I've got some thoughts on that. I've realized that when I've been efforting my evolution, like pushing too hard, I've been working against the flow. And almost like I've been like forcing my evolution to happen in the way that I think it should happen. And actually, I think in the last couple of months, I've been learning, actually, it doesn't happen in the way that I think it should. And I need to step the hell out of my way. What did you mean by efforting my evolution? Because that triggered a lot in me.
Initially what it meant was trying to force my healing. And that's how I mean it. And it's interesting, as someone myself who fully embodies and claims a feminine person. Like, I'm feminine, like my energy is flow and receptivity. And as we are becoming more and more balanced in our psyches, in ourselves, and then eventually in this world, we're more balanced. we're going to understand and learn the way of Gaia, the way of the earth, the way of flow is to allow seasons to change and shift. I think a lot of time we were efforting our way to knowledge and information. So I think the growth and evolution has to happen organically and within flow, combined with intellectual information and learning and striving and working. But the balance as a woman, for me, feels to know and believe and take inspired action, but don't try to run ahead faster than my heart can heal, or that my mind can be aware of the wholeness of who I am.
Oh my God. Just as I was about to ask you a question, you said, try to run faster than my heart can heal. And oh my, that arrested me, you know.
Wow. Yeah. Cardiac arrest.
No, not quite.
Right.
But, you know, like the flow of what I was thinking was kind of stopped right there, like arrested.
I hear you.
Faster than my heart can heal. Do you think that's something that's going on right now, that people are trying to move faster than their hearts can cope? Because I mean, I've come across quite a few different situations. Obviously, there's me and my husband. We've got our sort of extended families around us, and then we've got friends and this, that, and the other. And we're hearing about all sorts of different things going on in our communities. And it's clear that the situations that a lot of people are in right now are requiring them to be able to move forwards, and yet there's hurt that's holding people back. What do you have to share about that? Because I know when I ask these questions, that's all you need, and then it all comes through, doesn't it?
Yes. And thank you for knowing me and seeing me and creating space. It's compassion for the self. We are all being asked to still engage with our lives here on earth. You know, things going on, surgeries, you know, there's so many things going on outside of ourselves that have us having to make decisions. And, you know, look at the stars coming up, like a lot of things are shifting and changing still. And I think because we are moving so quickly in unprecedented times, in alignments that we haven't seen in quite a few years, we're having to understand the duality of stillness within as we are still moving forward outside of ourselves. And it seems like it seems counterproductive. I understand. But again, as we come into balance of the inner and the outer, we'll start to feel the homeostasis. We will start to feel the flow of being and joy. Our inner child is our soul. So as adults right now, as our conscious awakening is in full effect, and it doesn't happen to everybody all at once, it has to happen in phases and waves. But as more and more people are waking up to the fullness of who they actually are, they're learning that they don't have to believe the hard things, but they get to choose to lean into the hard things for healing. And that's where we have to heal the inside first. And then that's when my relationship with another can ever approach any sense of real healing. At least I'm coming in full. And if the other person chooses to do or chooses not to do, or the president or any leader anywhere decides to do what they do, that's outside of our control. We are not in control of what's outside of us, but we are in charge of ourselves. So to kind of come back to the question that you answered, we have a lot of things going on, but it's the breath, it's the knowing, it's the knowing when to pause. Like, even if you're in turmoil, just let yourself collapse and cry. And melt, and you will get up. But just don't convince yourself that you're broken or that you're dying from thoughts.
That's beautiful. Really beautiful. I'm going to change the tempo a little bit here because I need to put this on display to say, hi, Mum, Minnie here. So it's my daughter checking in via husband Carl's phone. Hi, darling. I'm glad you're listening in. Loads of love. My mum strings are being pulled a little bit. You know, like when you have children, you know, it's almost like there's this like cord between you and them. Mine are being pulled further than they've ever been stretched. Like I've been very fortunate enough that I've never really had much time away from any of my children. For some people that would be a nightmare, you know, everyone would be like, oh my God, I need a break. But like, we've been so close the whole time, and this is going to be the furthest me and my daughter have ever been away from each other today. Feeling that little pull. And Deb has said, I'm Deb and she's Debbie. So brave fan is Debbie.
Gotcha. Love that.
You mentioned a couple of things, and there's a couple of things I want to just pick up on. And the first one is about, like the idea of collapsing and crying or getting sick and sort of collapsing. One thing I've noticed, and it's through being a mum actually, and I'm sure you've noticed it as well, that when your children collapse or get ill, it seems to happen before they bravely leap forwards or do something amazing. I remember, like, when our kids were really small, if they got a temperature, I knew they're about to reach one of them milestones. I have to say, I didn't really pay much attention to the milestones, but the idea that, like, they get poorly and all of a sudden there's this like new version of them that comes forth the other side. And so, with you and your dental work, me and my sort of illness, it feels, at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, this is going to be better anyway. I'm ready for this. So there's that going on. And I think there are a lot of people that are having the opportunity to collapse and crumble, and kind of fall apart and kind of let go of what they've been holding on to, so that then they can, I don't know, maybe feel their heart breathe. Obviously the hearts aren't breathing, but like that sort of relaxation that happens when you kind of just surrender all of a sudden. And it was interesting that you mentioned about presidents or strong leaders, because there's so much news right now. And if you take all of your news just from what you see on the TV, obviously that's enough to send you doolally wherever you are. And you're right. There's nothing we can do about what's going on in the outer world. The only thing we can fix is what's going on in here. So I really think we're in a state of getting conscious of ourselves and going deeper into surrender. Absolutely. And the more we do that, the more we get conscious of ourselves. Sorry, that was a comment, not a question.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what's changed since we last met? Because, like the last time we were chatting, you were telling me about the new group that you've come into alignment with, and that when you first met them, it felt like a real strong bond, and they kind of saw you in a way that you hadn't been seen before. What's going on there?
Absolutely. I love this. You were talking about go within and softening and coming into surrender. And I truly, truly believe, and it is my lived experience, not all the time, because I'm still human, by the way, but when we do fall into that place, allow ourselves to really dive into our femininity, that's when the balance comes in, and then life and action and actually who we are and our power on this earth is activated. And so that for me was a moment of surrender. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing here. The things that I'm saying, there's not a lot of people that seem to resonate with they resonate, but they don't understand necessarily conceptually some of the things that I say. So I'm allowing myself to be very present. And so I was brought into this community who, what they teach as a framework to their community, and they've been in existence and operation for over 70 years. I'm like the embodiment of, and I say the embodiment of is because everything that I've learned and grown through in my awakening and conscious evolution of over the last 5 years is something that they teach as just, again, a framework. It's not a religion. It's not a belief or an ideology. It's literally a framework of thought to help you come back into your fullest self. And I was so culture shocked. And so they're like, what do you think about this? What are your thoughts about that? Blah, blah, blah. And like, I'll just naturally be who I am. And some of the people in that community are like, we teach that, like our minister level. And I'm like, not really, but there's something so satisfying about being seen for who you are, and then being like, your voice matters. Come in here. We're all weird. We all kind of get this whole awakening thing that we're all going through, although not everybody even calls it that. But that's where I'm at as someone with a voice saying things that are like, a light in the dark. Sometimes it wakes us up. So wow, it's weird. And I'm also having to be very clear that I still am sovereign in who I am. You know what I mean? And not like and suck into this group and then other myself from other people and ways of being. And so I don't want to create an echo chamber. Like we are a bunch of revolutionaries. And for me, everybody has their own thing. For me, I'm like revolutionary of the heart, like internal, like internal rebellion and like Roto-Rooter, all of this stuff. so that when we do get quiet and we do come back into our heart and we see that green orb of, you know, love energy, and when we take a breath in, we feel it expand, and exhale, and it covers the ends of the earth. Like it takes all of us coming together with our own diverse ways of being, but still doing it in unity and in conscious love and awareness. Oof.
That's beautiful. Really beautiful. Debs is saying the messages are flowing right now through you both, which is lovely. Debbie is saying, so true about collapsing, and then I came back strong. That's good. Deb is saying, sounds familiar. And she's also saying, yeah, I call it flying my freak flag.
Yes. I think we're finally I think we're finally allowing ourselves to fly our freak flags. You know,
do you know what? I really loved your Freudian slip where you stopped yourself. I think we're now allowed. I think we're allowing ourselves. Isn't that interesting? Because I do think we've been in a world where we haven't felt sovereign in ourselves. I know. I mean, just before we came on, I said to you privately that I'd received a few messages from people to encourage me to sort of like get back to doing what I do. And one of the things they said was, when you're unconsciously yourself, like when you really are flowing and not stopping yourself, then the messages are even stronger. And I realized in the last 4 or 5 years, I felt very stuck about saying the wrong thing because I'm not allowed to say it. And those stupid bunny ears I keep doing with my fingers, really annoying. I've really felt that. I felt, isn't it like nobody's actually taken me aside and imprisoned me or anything? But, you know, I did get put in, did get shadow banned on Facebook and, you know, had a few kind of posts, you know, people saying, oh, that's misinformation. You can't say that. It's interesting. What do you think's going on there? And how do we go beyond that?
Yeah, I think once again, we go inside and we remember that we are the ones who allow ourselves anything and everything, right? Yeah. If we allow ourselves, who outside of us can control us when we are sovereign? I think this is all a game of power and control. And that's why each individual soul who is inherently sovereign is being brought to the fore of the consciousness of the mind of the human. So as Tasha is a human, I have control over what I believe. And so I can believe that I'm controlled by my US government and everything that's going on right now, or I can do what I can do for the right now moment and do what I can, you know, not out of fear, out of sovereignty, out of knowing and preparation, but hands off. And I think that as my hands off and I know and I care for myself first, I put my oxygen mask on. I believe the quantum entanglement will do what quantum entanglement does. And this is the rapid awakening. This is the somebody threw a match on some oil.
Did you just throw
I did
imaginary grenade? That was very good.
Here's the deal. And I know I'm watching our time. Every time I'm on the show, we have to do a hard stop because I get to go in at the last minute. But I'm doing a message on 420 on the 20th of April, which is 420 hilarious, but it's Easter Sunday. And I'm a former Christian pastor, Christian pastor. And I thank God that I was drawn to release Christianity, to embrace gnosis and sovereignty. And I'm not trying to be holier than thou, but I know God, the God that I was taught in the Christian church. I only ever found him, the totality of the masculine energy of everything that is everything, which is energy. I always find that energy on the inside.
Yeah.
And if I'm a facet of that flame, then I shan't hold myself back by overthinking and underbeing who I actually am. And I know
my God, this is absolutely flowing. Sorry, overthinking and underbeing.
It's a channel. God. It's a channel. And so I'll end this. The title of this talk is The Return of Christ Consciousness. And I will be talking about cannabis because for Tasha, that's part of my story. Yeah. And you know, the endocannabinoid system, you guys nerds, if you feel that, go research it because it's literally the master control center of all of your master control centers. And it's much like our immune system in that you can't grab the endocannabinoid system, just like you can't grab the immune system. but it's vital to your well-being. So anyway, I'll stop there. But that's the community that I've been dropped into and been asked to speak through the return of Christ consciousness. We're here, Louisa, we're here. This is heaven on earth, where our inner child is free to play. Open your Bibles to Revelation 22:2.
You know what? I live at number 22.
Yes. Well, in 22, like we've talked about a couple of different times, I've got a grand earth trine all at 22 degrees. All earth signs. And I'm telling you, I'm claiming it. We were civil war in the US, civil revolution in the US, and civil embodiment. And you're the astrologer. I'm an astrologist, right? I dabble, but like alignments of all those three eras are the same. It's time for us to be who they fought for. I am the daughter of the dream. Martin Luther King, he had a dream. Hello, she's here. We're here. We can be everything that our ancestors and that people, generations ago that our families fought for. Like, there's a reason that I'm mixed race. Like, I have slave lineage in my blood and in my bones. But yet, I am free, and I'm in the land of the free, where all hell's breaking loose. It's Babylon. Okay. So again, we get to go within and just find our inner peace, because honestly, as the water in the harbor rises, all boats rise. Yes. And the reality of that is that some things will sink to the bottom, and they're meant to, and they will bubble up in their due time. But for us, we just breathe, and we get to be, and we get to understand that we're meant to leap through life from that space of the inner child. I'm sorry, I'll go in circles. Let me take.
Why are you sorry? This is the most impassioned. You actually sound like you're a pastor, like you are like meant to be on. Like, I'm feeling the start of your presentation, your beautiful speech that you're going to do on Easter Sunday. I love so much of what you shared, the overthinking and the underbeing. That's something Carl's really passionate about. He talks he's got a book called The Way of No Thinking, I think, which he refers to a lot. He's done it the whole of our relationship, to the point where there was a time when I just wanted to find the bloody book and like throw it away. So you can, sorry Carl if you're still listening, but overthinking is a curse. Yes. As far as I can see, I know I do it. And of course, if you're in your head, you're not really being. So I understand the overthinking and underbeing. You can't be when you're up here thinking. And I love, I am the daughter of the dream. We're all the sons and daughters of the dream. And that really reminds me of what I've been thinking about a lot, over the last couple of weeks, just more and more, that, are we actually in a dream? Is this just some, like, am I going to wake up in a mental institution and like peer over and see you in a bed opposite? We both wake up and go, oh my God, what the hell did we do? Like, where were we? We're in this like collective dream where we were on new reality TV talking about blah, blah, blah.
I actually do believe this is all a dream. Yeah, I believe that we're all in that fifth dimension, having the time of our lives, and just leading our human selves along in this dimension. Yeah. I had a dream within the last week. I don't know what day it was, where it was the end of the video game. I'm watching the time, but I was playing a video game, and at the end of it, I died, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm like chugging water. I'm like, that was so fun. Put me back in again. And like, get to come back to earth and do it all over again. When we understand that death is simply just the end of a life that we once thought was our reality.
Yes.
We learn to take our punches standing up, and we understand that even if at the very last moment of my breath, I'm not going to die afraid. Let it take me out, but I will not suffer. That's my message.
Oh my God. Do you know what I'm downloading? I am downloading the transcript of this conversation with you.
Please do.
I really am. I'll send it to you. Right. We do need to go.
I have to slow down too. And I'm like, I can't slow down. It's just the flow.
We are going to need to slow down. And I'm afraid I don't have